So as you all know, I went to California to see my family, Southern California. I currently live in Eastern Idaho. So I've been wanting to go home. I hadn't been home in like 3.5 years, 3 years, exactly 3 years. It had been a long time because we had moved from Southern California to Northern, and then from Northern California to Idaho. And from Southern to Northern California, if you're unfamiliar, like the drive is about 8 hours. So even though we were still in California, I still didn't make it down to see my family a lot. They usually came to see me, which was easier because I'm the one that has all the kids, and Kennedy does not do well on long drives. Anyway, we got our tax return, and I told Adam that it really, when my mom came to visit in February, it just made me kind of sad. Like, I was happy to see her, but wanted to spend some time with the rest of my family. And I had a lot going on with my kids, and mentally, I really needed a break. So he was like, he had some vacation coming up, which kind of was bittersweet because I would have liked to spend his vacation with him, but it would have been the only way for me to go home. So I had someone here with the kids and to run Kennedy to all of her appointments. So he booked me a flight. And this is where I want to talk about getting out of my comfort zone. I have not flown on a plane since Parker was not even a year old, so it's been 14 years. And even then, like, I flew from Northern to Southern California. It's like a 40-minute flight. And before that, before I had kids, one time I flew with Allie when I was pregnant with her from North Carolina to Atlanta to Southern California. I don't remember being scared. And then I flew again when she was born from Dallas to Ontario to California. And I remember that being hard because I had to carry the car seat and her and everything, but I still don't remember having like a lot of anxiety over it. However, this time I was nervous because it had been so long. You know, it's 14 years, I'm 6 kids later. You get into that mom mode, and it's kind of like driving. Like, the more you don't drive places, the scarier it is to do it. Like, since we've been here, everything's so close to us. Like, I don't have to jump on a freeway or go very far for anything. And so a lot of times when Adam's home, like, and we have to go further, I'm like, you drive. So I've just kind of like built this bubble around myself, and I rely a lot on my husband, and my excuse always is I can't go because I have kids and appointments and blah, 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 right? So he booked that appointment, and I was so nervous and filled with anxiety. I don't know how many times I told my husband I'm not going. Like, I wasn't afraid of the actual flying part, like the plane crashing or anything like that. I was afraid of finding my gate at the layover. I was afraid of not making it to my plane in time or getting lost. These are the things that I was afraid of. I'm very introverted. I didn't always used to be, but I don't like going up to strangers and like asking for help. And then I got COVID and got really sick, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to go. And then I got really disappointed. Well, I started watching a lot of travel vlogs, and like Drew Binsky and Lexi Limitless, and they're really young. I think Lexi is 22. She's the youngest female traveler to hit every country in the world, and Drew Binsky is, I believe, almost 30. He's almost hit every country. He gets really in depth about culture and stuff. But they're so young, and they just amaze me with their knowledge and how much courage they have to go to these countries that, you know, like Afghanistan and Yemen and just all these places, and they know like the planes and standing in line for passports and getting your passport stamped and the buses they need to take and the transportation they need to line up. And I thought, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm gonna do this. So the day came on St. Patrick's Day for me to leave, and I was nervous. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was so nervous. But I just kept thinking about those videos that I had watched and how much inspiration and motivation they gave me. And I was like, okay, I'm only flying from Idaho to California. Like, I'm not flying overseas by myself. I can do this. I had to keep telling myself that. So during the security check at Idaho Falls Airport, and the airport is like 3 terminals. It's super small. There's only like 3 gates. They had to pat me down, I think because my earrings set off the monitor, or maybe my watch, I'm not sure. So I got to my gate, I found that very easy, got on my plane, everything was good, but I was filled with anxiety about when I landed in Salt Lake because I only had a 45-minute layover. I was like, oh my gosh, what if I miss my plane? What if I can't find my gate? Because I had heard that Salt Lake City airport is massive, and my husband's flown out of there a few times from here. And he was like, no, I always get to my gate within like 2 minutes. So I was like, okay. So flew into Salt Lake because they don't tell you, I don't know if it's just Delta or if all airlines do this, like the gate number is not on your ticket. So you have to go check the screen, look at your flight number, and then it'll redirect you to what gate you need to go to. So I remember when I landed in Salt Lake, I was in B12 and my gate was B3, so it was literally right there. So I was like, okay, my husband was right. Like I did it. So I got to my gate and I already had my seat number and everything, and just they boarded the plane and I was on my way to California. And I remember thinking I did it, like like I was excited that I had done it. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward through my time with my family, and it comes time for me to leave. And all of a sudden, my worst fear that I had about not making my plane or getting lost were about to come true. I go to check in and I hand the lady my license, and she's like, oh, your plane is 30 minutes delayed. Well, I only had a 30-minute layover, which means I was gonna miss my flight. So she was super nice, and she goes, look, I'm gonna give you a backup flight. There's not a flight back to Idaho Falls from Salt Lake until 10:50. So I would have had to wait at the airport for 5.5 hours. Which, I mean, if I would have had to, I would have had to. But by this point, I really wanted to get home and see my husband and kids. My husband gets up at 3 in the morning to go to work. And I wouldn't have gotten in until midnight. It just would have been really hard for everybody. So she gave me that backup flight, but she let me keep my original flight just in case there was some sort of miracle. And I'm so glad she did. So I got to my gate in Ontario and I sat there, and they never changed. Like the flight before that to Salt Lake was delayed. They never changed the screen. So people kept coming up to me and asking me like what flight this was. And I was kind of thinking like, wow, like I don't usually fly, and like these people look worldly and are asking me, and I'm like, yeah, they just didn't change the screen. And then I heard some guy go to the counter and he said, I need a seat request. I don't have a seat number, which made me look at my own ticket and realize that mine said the same thing. So I got in line to get my seat, and the lady said, oh, this plane is actually coming in about 15 minutes early. It's not as delayed. So I was like, okay, maybe I could make my flight. That would give me about 20 minutes to find my gate when I landed in Salt Lake. So we finally boarded that plane, and I swear it took forever for it to take off. And the whole plane ride, like my sister gave me that really nice magazine that I planned on reading on the plane. Oh no, I didn't read it. Like I just sat there and was filled with anxiety about, not even anxiety, like I was just hyper focused in my brain that I was going to make that flight, my original flight, no matter what, to get home. So I didn't want to have to look at my ticket and then look at the screen when I got there. So I just wrote the flight number down on my hand. We landed, and of course it took forever to pull into the gate. I'm like, what is happening? So we landed, and I tapped the guy in front of me and I said, look, I have about 11, I had exactly 11 minutes to catch my flight. I said, is there any way I can go first? And he was like, yeah, sure. So he actually talked to the person on this side, because of course I was in the back of the plane. That's how it happens. And they started going up about 5 rows. They said, hey, this girl back there only has 10 minutes to catch a flight. Can she get off first? Which was good because the flight was packed. So when it was my turn, they let me go. I got off that plane, and it was super crowded. I ran to where the flight screen was, saw my flight number right away, and I didn't look at anything else. I just looked at where my gate was. I was in like A2 where they dropped us off, and my gate was B25. So I was thinking, I started to walk towards where it said B, and I was like, didn't have any time, you guys, to be scared, to have anxiety, nothing. It was just hyper focused, gonna find my gate. B25 ends up being Salt Lake City airport is a hub airport, so it's really big. So as I'm walking, I'm looking at my watch and I'm going, oh my gosh, like this is bad. So I start running. Then I notice the B gates veer off to the left, and all I see was elevators. I'm like, what the heck? But then I see escalators going downstairs. So I'm like, okay, that's where it says B gates are. So I go down the escalator. I'm like, it better not take me back through like security or something. So I hit the floor, and there's this big sign that says 7-minute walk to gate B, to the B gates. And I was like, are you serious? By this time I had like maybe 6 minutes. So I started running, and I have my backpack, and I don't have the best supporting bra on, so I'm like, I must have looked ridiculous running through the airport with my boobs flopping and my backpack and my hair streaming out behind me, and my mask, so my glasses were fogging up. And I just ran, and I get to the other escalator that takes you back up, and people are supposed to stand to the side. They weren't. They were crowding, and I was trying to like, excuse me. Got up the escalator, and then I'm finally in the B section, and B25 is at the very, very end. So I start running again. I can't breathe because I just had COVID. My chest is literally on fire. Get to my gate. My plane was scheduled to leave at 5:02. I got there, I'm not even kidding, right at 5:01 with like a second to spare. I was supposed to request a seat, so I just said, hey, I just got here. Did I make it in time? I don't have a seat number. And she scans my ticket. She goes, give me a seat number. And she goes, yeah, this plane is actually delayed 20 minutes. So you have to take a bus over to Terminal A because this plane came in a different terminal than what the screen said. So I was like, are you serious? Now, if I would have stopped and looked at the screen, I would have saw that it was delayed. I probably would have had to still walk to Terminal B and get bus because it said B25. That was my gate number. But it was just kind of funny. I got on the bus, and even that, like, I had to find where to go. So it just said, follow the signs, and that's what I did. And I found my bus. It said Idaho Falls. So I got on the bus, and I could not breathe. The guy next to me was like, are you okay? I was like, yes. I had drinking one small bottle of water on the flight from from Ontario to Salt Lake, because that's all they gave you. And I didn't want to drink a lot because I knew I wouldn't have time to stop and pee. My bladder is small, so if I drink more than that, I knew that would happen. So by the time I was on the bus, I was dying of thirst. I couldn't breathe. The bus pulls up to our plane, and we get off, and I was just like, got in my seat, and I was like, I did it. Like, I made it. I'm going home on the original time. And I just really felt like, oh, the sun is bright. Okay, I don't know, guys. I just really felt like I got out of my, I'm gonna move, comfort zone. And it was scary, but I did it, and I was super proud of myself. And the whole time I was thinking about, okay, chest shot. I was thinking about those channels I watched and how much they encouraged me. And again, I'm only flying from California to Idaho, not to a third world country or anything, but I did it, and I was proud. And now I feel like if I need to fly anywhere, that I will have a little bit more confidence to do so. So I think it's really important, especially for stay-at-home moms, because like I said again, you get stuck in these bubbles. So I think it was really good that I got out of my comfort zone and made that small trip. Anyways, I just wanted to share that because I know there's a lot of stay-at-home moms that watch my channel. Even if you're not a stay-at-home mom and you have anxiety like I do, or you're very introverted, it could be hard to do things like that. And I just wanted to share with you that you can do it too. And the worst case scenario is I wouldn't have made that flight, and I would have waited 5.5 hours. And if she wouldn't have given me a backup flight, I know now, I just go and ask somebody, hey, missed my flight, and they would have just booked me a flight, the 10:50 flight right there. And that there are people there to help you. And for the most part, people are kind. I mean, they let 5 rows know to let me off first. And these are, weird times with COVID and everything. So there is still kindness in the world. Got out of my comfort zone. I did it. I'm proud. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Chicken tendies.